This is my Spread the Word presentation by Payton McCarty. Gifted and talented children are just like any other child when it comes to wanting to do the best they can. In 1993, the U.S. Department of Education stated that gifted children are children and youth with outstanding talent who perform or show the potential for performing at remarkably high levels of accomplishment when compared with others of their age, experience, or environment. When reading that statement, I feel like it sounds like such an abundance of pressure. There are certain needs these gifted students have that need to be addressed, and I'm here to inform you on some of them. Perfectionism is common with gifted and talented children. If the students feel so much pressure, they may either back away from their work or overdo things. As teachers and parents, we want the students to do well in their coursework, but also keep their mental health in check. Sometimes the pressure of being perfect can cause anxiety in gifted students. This is not what anyone wants for their students or children. Parents do not want their children to only focus on school and have zero home and social life. Teachers want their students to do their best academically, but sometimes they cannot because of the pressure of being perfect. I found in the article Research on Perfectionism and Achievement Motivation Implications for Gifted Students that Parker identified 3 different perfectionism typologies with the middle school gifted students using the Frost scale. Students in the non-perfectionism group, an example, low scores on personal standards, parental expectations, and organization, scored the lowest on a measure of conscientiousness. Students in the healthy perfectionism group, an example, low scores on concern over mistakes, parental criticism, and doubts about actions, scored the lowest on neuroticism, but highest on extroversion, agreeableness, and conscientiousness. Students in the dysfunctional perfectionism group, an example, high scores on concern over mistakes, personal standards, parental expectations, parental criticism, and doubts about actions, scored the highest of all 3 groups on measures of neurosis and openness to experience, and the lowest on agreeableness. Being identified as a gifted student puts a lot of pressure on a child. The research shows that it is good to be in a healthy perfectionism group because those students are still putting effort into their work, but they scored lower on neuroticism. This means they are less likely to get anxiety. If the student is too much of a perfectionist and are placed in the dysfunctional perfectionism group, they score low on agreeableness. This means they are less likely to be cooperative, warm, and considerate. It is okay for the students to be perfectionists, but as teachers and parents, we should not want them to take it too far. There's always a healthy balance for these gifted children. As their caregivers, we should make sure they understand not everything can be perfect. Another thing gifted children come in contact with is the lack of challenge. Gifted children often find themselves with lack of control, choice, and challenge. Gifted students get bored when they do not find a challenge in their work. As teachers, we should make sure our students have some sort of challenge. If these gifted students are given work they do not think is necessary, this can cause them to possibly drop out. Parents should encourage students to do extracurricular activities such as sports and clubs. This can provide them satisfaction and motivation that they are not fully achieving academically. Kavinsky and Cayley found that students gradually disengage from classroom tasks and their productivity and their grades decline as their boredom intensifies in middle and high school. There are gifted students who drop out of high school, and studies show it is because the lack of effort in their coursework. These gifted students are more than capable with getting good grades and achieving their goals. The article, An Alternate Path, the experience of high potential individuals who left school, explains that the gifted children were not engaged on many different levels, including academically, behaviorally, and cognitively. Academically, gifted students who underachieved and or dropped out of school primarily demonstrated academic disengagement through lack of effort in their coursework. Behaviorally, students often did not attend class and exhibited noncompliant behavior in school. Cognitively, students felt bored, unchallenged, and uninspired by perceived busy work that they did not feel was meaningful. This shows that we need to try and get students more engaged. This study proves that students need challenge to feel motivation. Many students need to be challenged in order for them to have the motivation to succeed. Every child should want to feel like school has a meaningful purpose and should feel the urge to complete it. As parents and teachers, we should make sure our students feel this way. If they need to have different outlets for their satisfaction and motivation academically, encourage them to. It can be difficult for gifted students to have a positive self-concept and know how to self-cope compared to average students. Gifted students have different experiences than average students do. They are different than their same age peers. Gifted students are considered more serious about school and focus more on their academics, while other students are learning at a slow pace and feel as if they can get more involved with other activities aside from academics. Self-concept, the perception each of us has about the self. A person's self-concept is influenced by others. Gifted students may see that their experience in school is different than their peers. This can affect one's perception of themselves. J.R. Cross states, according to the BFLPE model, a decline in self-concept occurs when entering a selective academic setting, where the population has a higher average ability level. This research shows that gifted children may have a lower concept. It is not right for students to compare experiences with other students. Every student's school career is different than the other. Gifted students may compare themselves to other gifted students and think they are not as smart as them or do not learn as easily as they do. They can also look at a non-gifted student and think they get to have more fun and enjoy their school experience more than they can as a gifted student. In the article, Social Coping and Self-Concept Among Young Gifted Students in Ireland and the United States, a cross-cultural study, Cross states a positive self-concept, particularly in the domain of achievement, is highly correlated with academic success in that domain, whereas self-esteem is unrelated. All students deserve to have a positive self-concept. They should not feel as if they need to compare themselves to others. Some studies show that engaging in more activities can give oneself a more positive self-concept, says Cross. Also, gifted students should not feel the need to deny their giftedness. They may do this in order to feel more popular or maybe because they do not feel as smart as the other gifted classmates. Teachers and parents need to reassure the students that they all learn differently and will have a different school experience than their peers. Parental and peer support is very important for gifted students. When students have friends, family, and teachers around supporting them, they do not feel alone. They need support to stay motivated and to be informed they are doing a good job. Everyone needs support from someone in their lives. Gifted students are often viewed as academically further than other students, so they do not always get as much support as non-gifted students do. This needs to be changed, and we can do it. There is an example of gifted students supporting one another that I found. Gloria Jones reported a story about a 4th and 5th grade gifted program providing meals for needy children. She witnessed the children helping and supporting the other children. Gifted students were able to do this activity and realized the importance of support. This event was called the Kids Cafe. It continued to grow as more students and parents heard about it. This was an experience aside from academics that the gifted students were able to do together. This experience got teachers, gifted students, and parents involved. They were excited to support one another by helping feed the needy children. This was a great event that Jones had set up for her students to encourage helping one another. Miss Jones reported that this was the most meaningful experience in her 17 years of teaching. This event taught gifted students, teachers, and parents to support one another by working together. Students can take what they learn and transfer it to day-to-day life, aside from an event like this one. The teacher will always be able to reflect back to the Kids Cafe as an example of the students working together. She can encourage her future students to do the same. Parental and peer support is vital throughout life. Gifted students need to experience support from others and learn how to provide it as well. Gifted students have different needs and a different experience than non-gifted students. As teachers and parents, we need to know the needs, what signs to look for, and how to help the students. Most parents and teachers want to provide the best life possible for their students, including their academic career. They need to be prepared to help the students with any encounter they may face. These are only some needs to look for in gifted students. Hopefully this helped you better understand the needs of your gifted children.